Good day to all of you out there, and welcome to another episode of the Coffee with Coaches podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Stafford, and today I have with me Clifford Starks. Is Cliff okay, by the way? I didn't ask this before I hit record.
Oh, Clifford is perfectly fine with me.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So,
Yeah.
who is Cliff Starks? A big dreamer who takes big actions to make them realities, a UFC fighter, lover of people, calculated risk taker, really like that, family man, and dream collector, which I really like. An ordinary guy looking to do extraordinary things in life while challenging others to do the same. Cliff, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's start at the start. Let's begin at the beginning. This is kind of a two-part question. What prompted you to move into coaching? And usually this is like a discovery process. Like what prompted you to realize that maybe you already were a coach or were becoming a coach? And then also what prompted you to start your own coaching business?
Yeah, so everyone kept calling me coach, and I figured I probably should get certified in this thing if everyone's going to talk to me about being a coach. And yeah, that's what I did. I got certified, and I'm like, I guess I was always a coach.
It's so funny how that happens where this is very, very common amongst coaches of all different types I come across where it was more or less a process of realization than it was something that they decided to become. You know, they kind of realized they were already on the road. And so they just started taking the journey a little more intentionally, if that makes sense, right?
Makes perfect sense. Yep. Yeah, I had a background as a personal trainer, and that's the one thing that I did go intentionally after was I got certified in NASM and I graduated from ASU in kinesiology. And so I really focused on the personal training aspect, and coaching and personal training, they go hand in hand because getting people to do things they don't want to necessarily do, it makes for an interesting challenge, and I'm always up for a challenge. So I learned, oh wow, it comes down to their thought patterns and what they see and how they're seeing it and how they're approaching the problem.
So really like an approach to have, I'm obviously my brain is making all the comparisons between like your more traditional like physical coaching and then also just, you know, mental and emotional and like professional coaching. And it's like, oh yeah, really there's so many comparisons, just like how you've got some bad habits that have led to you being in a certain place in your life, whether it's physically or professionally or wherever else you're trying to improve. And you have to look at those and engage with those and work with those. And you might want that on a certain level, but you also kind of don't want to do what it's going to take to change it. And so it's a coach's strength, I feel like, is helping someone navigate those two sort of competing wants.
Yes, 100%. Because our brain either works for us or against us. You know, it's 3 pounds of mass, but it's like it's using 20 to 25% of our energy. And so it wants to conserve energies as much as possible. And one way to conserve is to not change anything, just to automate into what it's used to doing.
The brain, my greatest ally, and sometimes my most diligent enemy. Sometimes in
Yes.
the same moment. Let's talk a little bit about your coaching practice and your coaching approach. Who do you work with? What do you like one-to-one coaching? Do you do group coaching or any kind of mastermind work? Do you have coaching courses? Do you have anything like that you have available? What's the thing that's core to your coaching business?
Yeah, so I have a program out, and it's to help entrepreneurs, vision-driven entrepreneurs, really get their time back. You know, they're in a position to scaling their business, but they're the bottleneck of their business. They may not have the right team or the right approach, or they just might not have their systems in place. So me and my business partner, we go in and we really just we clean house in an effective, efficient way and get them scaling their business and still getting their time back.
That is probably the single most common, I don't want to say like lament, but whenever I ask an entrepreneur or a coach or really anybody who's responsible for their own business, what maybe their biggest hurdle is or their biggest like most sensitive pain point, it always kind of comes back to time in some way or another, where they don't feel like they have the time to do all the things that they know they want to be doing. And that includes for their business and their families and their personal lives. That seems to be that really a bottleneck that every every entrepreneur, every coach, everyone hits at a certain point in their ambitions, and getting through that bottleneck, figuring out how to navigate that bottleneck. And like you're saying, I just love that you kind of come in and clean house, because that's
Yeah.
what it takes. Sometimes you can flip it all the way down to the studs and build something back that's going to last, and it's going to actually help you to not be a bottleneck to your own success, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the cool thing is, my process is very customized because everyone's different. Everyone needs different things. And so what I do, just like my personal training journey, you really listen intently with complete intention and understand their wants, their desires, and their needs, and figure out how to put them in a position to where they actually want the change for themselves. And I say want the change for themselves because a coach can be an authoritarian and push you to do something and push you to a success. But if you don't know why you want it for you, you'll always fall back to your old habits.
That's so true. That's so true. It won't, one way or another, it just won't quite stick.
Yeah. Yep.
I can hear maybe not the pain. I can hear the scars of experience in your voice, and I can feel my own too resonating with what you're saying, being like, oh, I remember when all those ambitions I might have had where it's like I fell short, and then I looked back at why, and I'm like, I didn't really want it for myself. I was trying to
Yeah.
get somebody else to want it enough for me.
Yeah.
And that's the hard work. It's easy. It's
Yeah.
very simple to understand, but that's the hard work. That's where it's just, you spend the time, you have the hard thoughts, you feel the hard feelings, you make the hard decisions. I think that's why coaching is becoming so much more valuable in people's minds as we move. Like, even over the last few years, I've just seen tremendous exponential growth in people's regard for the necessity of coaching, the value of coaching to help them get through those plateaus, those points where they've just struggled to get through on their own, where they've just struggled to realize the desires inside them and to commit to them in a way that actually will affect change. I clearly, I like your approach a lot. I find
Yeah.
myself
Thank
wanting
you.
to talk more and more about it. It's fantastic. Let's talk about the year to come, 2022, which at the time of this recording is almost 2 months old. We're coming up on the end of February, which it feels like the year is still so young, but also like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
So what's coming up for you and your coaching practice in 2022?
Yeah. So me and my business partner are going to be doing challenges because we feel challenges do a couple different things. One, we're consistently improving on our market and understanding how to market effectively to the people that we want to serve. And two, they get a taste of what it is that we bring to the table. And so they can say like, okay, I've tried this on and this really works for me. This has given me some insights, and we want to provide value. It always starts with providing the value. And from there, if they want to work more intimately with us, we go over how that process happens. So we want to become the challenge kings as we go through the process.
I love it. I love it. What a great place to start, because yeah, you really are. You're going right to the heart of it right from the start. You're really setting the tone for what it's going to take for someone to get through and to actually really get the benefits and the value of your coaching. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, where can people find out more about you? And obviously you have a website or whatever, but like, for example, we'll share your website for sure. But like, where do you
Yeah.
like to engage on social media? How do you like people to reach out to you if they want to find out more about how you can help them?
First, I want to say thank you for that very specific question. Because when I first started my coaching journey, I was terrible at explaining it. But mine is definitely Messenger. Facebook Messenger is the place you want to go to connect with me. I normally tell people don't go to my Instagram because it's probably going to be a couple days. But on Messenger, you're going to get me in 24 hours or less.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And your website is it, do you have cliffordstarks.com?
Yeah, I have cliffordstarks.com, and I also have mindbodymentoring.com.
Okay. A little guest appearance. That's totally fine, by the way. It's one thing that I've found to be more uplifting and enlightening than anything else about these last couple of years is how much of a window we've gotten into people's lives. Like, just we have our Zoom cameras on. We do what we can to control our environment, but we're in the middle of our lives while we're doing all this great work. And so
Yeah.
I love it. I wanted to make sure you don't feel bad about that. I find that that's basically it, right. It's like kind of rests right in the heart of coaching, because there's such a vulnerability and a level of access to it where it's just like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, you're coming in. There's
Yeah.
gonna be background noise. There's gonna be technical glitches. There's gonna be all this, that, and the other. And you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna figure out a way to get through and be even better on the other side and continue forward. I know I'm getting a little inspirational, but I'm a little inspired by your presence today. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, I call it the structureless structure, where we try and create structure, and sometimes it's structureless. Sometimes that's part of the process, and we get to figure out, like, okay, how are we going to dance in this specific process? So thank you for that. Much appreciated.
Of course. And yeah, I love that analogy of the dance. It's
Yeah.
perfect because it you know what to do, you know the steps, but then the music starts and you just dance. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
100%.
dancing.
Yes. Yes. And I appreciate you taking the time as well. I love the podcast that you have and what you're presenting to the world, and the light that you're shining. So much appreciated.
Thank you. That's always good to hear. Because sometimes every once in a while, you can feel like you're in a bit of a vacuum. You obviously, when you're engaging with coaches or coaching, you get a lot of different feedback, and that's something that is, yeah, quite frankly, coaches excel at. But that's
Mhm.
always nice to hear, because yeah, it's really, we just want to continue the rising tide of, there are a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of coaches at various levels for all sorts of different purposes, different approaches, all with the same goal in mind. We're all out here for each other, trying to help each other.
Absolutely.
And it is inspiring on a daily basis. And so, yeah, I'm going to stop gushing. And I think I'll call it. Clifford, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you for taking the time. Much appreciated. And I always say there's greatness within. Just live your greatest life.
There's a greatness within. Shall we dance?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.